Today in r/malicious compliance. Teacher who tried to prevent me from graduating over a 5 books she lost. Ok, let's turn over your entire classroom. There was a teacher in high school who really didn't like me. I never really knew why, but she was often cold and bitter to me specifically. Was not likable. She was young and very pretty, even married a student after he graduated few years after I left. So we were reading some general school red book in class. All had handwritten numbers in them too. Keep track of kids turning in books. Week after turn in she comes to me, weeks after my house caught fire, was living in a hotel, not burned down, but a room was badly damaged and smoke toxins made house unlivable for months. I never turned in my book, though I know I turned it in because I remember tracking through all the cold ashy house to my room to grab all my books. And I remembered hand and day because I apologized. It smelled a bit like burned furniture. Melted cushions, smell you never forget. I repeated said memory of this to her, and she said she didn't have it and doesn't remember that. Fine, I'll go through the books with you. Mine had a different cover than majority, as was an older edition. Only few others in my class had similar cover, so wouldn't be difficult, right? Oh well, I don't have time for that. You owe the school 15 or you want to graduate. What? My family was poor, but we were just dishing out tons of money for house repairs and replacement of everything deemed unsafe cause smoke toxins. I didn't know what to say. She was accusing me of something I clearly handed in and threatening my graduation over 15 when I knew the book, especially in the years of student where condition wasn't worth more than 1. It was 7 new. So I get my dad to bring me to couple local used bookstores, thrift stores in city over. Lord behold the damn book, in similar condition, if not better, newer cover. Buy it for what do you know, 50 cents. Very common school red book. I turn it in the next day, 'cause no way I'm giving this lady 15 for old used book. More about principle at this point. She wouldn't accept it. Yelled at me even for attempting to get out of it easy or something. So I went to the kindness, gentlest lady you'd meet. She literally would give you the shirt off her back, and did to a teacher who said she loved her shirt. Next day comes in washed shirt. She worse yesterday, and gave her the shirt. She was our consular secretary, but better than any counseling school had to offer. I was crying over how mean she was being and seemed unfair. I unload whole story because she was easier to talk to than any official at the school. I had never seen a gentle lady like her get angry before. Little old lady got up and said, "Wait here." She grabbed her wallet and marched out. At this point, I'm feeling guilty as I didn't want her to pay it for me, but she looked pissed. I only found out later from students in her class at the time that the secretary motioned her outside of the classroom, closed the door quite loud. Afterwards, she said she took care of it, said that teacher had actually no authority to threaten my graduation without a higher authority in the system agreeing, and not to worry. She said how disappointed she was in her behavior, talked about her like a child. Over weekend, my dad took us shopping for new clothes. All ours were deemed toxic by insurance, and insurance gave us $500 each to get new clothes. Being frugal, I had $250 left over as I got mostly thrift store or clothes on clearance. I bought her a nice shirt on sale I knew would fit, and a keychain, said one secretary. I got along with most teachers I had. Ones I did still weren't rude to me, were actually kind after the fire, except the one. I knew the principal's boss well too, was kind to many students, and was close to my older brother. After he heard about it, a apparently instated new rule after I graduated that teachers couldn't take away graduation or any permission without written agreement among principal or higher, and not just verbal as before. I still pop in time to see that secretary, and only her. After my youngest sibling graduated, I've seen her less, but if I'm in town, 2-hour drive to see my dad. Mom passed after second house fire from my injuries. She still remembered me 8 years later. Still had the key cane, still super sweet. Knew about my mom dying 'cause younger siblings, and even said she wished there was a funeral because wanted to be there for me. We opted out of a funeral because family was not getting along. Cremated her and gave her mom the ashes. As for teacher, she still teaches there. Tilda teacher Lowe's book I turned in says I have to pay a much higher price than it's worth. Malicious compliance. Go get used one for 50 cents instead of paying 10's worth of the book. Not good enough for her. Must pay the cash. For want, graduate. Nicest old lady comes to my rescue. Now spends her whole career with the one person no one hates in that school, being disappointed in her and keeping an eye out on. Imagine having the sweetest old lady disappointed in you. Not hate, which is easier, but disappointed. Yay! It was just 15, I know, but I was pissed. She accused me of something I clearly remembered opposite of, then wouldn't take the time to let me prove it, on top of knowing common-used old book wasn't worth her price. Thanks for listening. Don't forget to like, subscribe, smash the bell, and whatever else our YouTube overlords require nowadays.